John, thank you and congratulations to everybody that moved their business. And this is just a great time of year to move. They've qualified for certain things, many going for Elite this year, and we'll wait and see as we'll be announcing those at the Super Saturday. Well, listen, we do have a great call today, and Kacia honestly has been patient. She is just fresh back from Vietnam. She is excited about this call, and I'm excited about the topic of her call, talking about the perfect customer. And you go, the perfect customer, how many of those are there in the world? Well, I think you're going to see that there's a little bit more than just one, and there's a way to develop, and there's a way to find who those individuals are. But before I bring her on the line, she joined Beachbody back, get this, on 9/11/2013. She is an 8-star diamond coach. She has 38 months in the business. She is a Success Club All-Star legend. She's an organizational leader on the leadership ladder. She currently lives in New York, New York. She's a 2015 Elite coach, and we're absolutely thrilled to have, I guess, all the way from New York City via Vietnam, Kacia Fitzgerald. Kacia, are you on the phone?
I am. Thank you so much, Jeff, for the introduction. I'm so excited to be here.
Well, we're excited to have you on the line, and truth be told, we had scheduled you a week earlier, and then a guy by the name of Deichler, you know, I don't know who he thinks he is or what kind of strings he can pull. Yeah, exactly, right. Well, I had a private conversation with him, and and so he knows never to do this to you again, Kacia, but we're thrilled about the announcement, and we're thrilled to have you on the call with us today. So let's jump in a little bit. So it's always fun to find out who is this person that's speaking to us, and how did they become a coach. So why don't you give a little bit of backstory on Kacia?
Absolutely. So really before Beachbody, I was a total corporate hustler. So I was working in downtown Seattle as an engineering project manager. I was extremely stressed out, and I was really unfulfilled. But I was just pouring so much of my energy into my job because I kind of just thought that's what I should be doing. So I was climbing the corporate ladder and following this really cookie-cutter plan that I had set out for myself. And then one day I just had that rock bottom moment. I know you guys hear a lot of coaches talk about that, but I just was kind of done with feeling like I was putting myself on the back burner all the time. So I ordered P90X at 3 o'clock in the morning. I happened to be following just one coach. I had only heard of one coach on Instagram. I'd never talked with her, and I didn't really understand how this whole body coaching thing worked, but I put her name down as my coach when I purchased my P90X, thinking that maybe she would earn some commission or something. I just thought she looked like a nice person. But she found me on Facebook. She invited me to be in one of her online challenge groups, and I said no. I was just kind of stubborn and wanted to do it on my own. But after a couple of weeks of making it to day 4 of P90X, doing it before work, seeing that 90 minutes of yoga on the calendar, I just quit, and I would restart week after week. So I reached back out to her. I joined one of her challenge groups as a discount coach, so in September of 2013. And I fell in love with the community and Shakeology and my results, but I was very adamant about the fact that I did not want to build a business. I just didn't really think of coaching as a job for me. I had a job that I was interested in, I was working really hard in, so I told her, don't talk to me about the business. Still, she added me into her private Facebook group, the team page that she had, where there were other coaches who were posting about messages that they were receiving from their own challengers that were in their online groups. And they were crying, like happy crying, thanking them for helping them change their lives and help them with their health and fitness goals and just really change every dynamic of their life. So I'm sitting here, and I'm in this job as a project manager, like I mentioned, and I've got a great salary and managers that I love and tons of career growth, thinking on expert, it looks like I have it all. But inside, I really just knew it was wrong for me. I wanted that fulfillment, but I saw these coaches have like that excitement that they had about what they were doing, but I couldn't really admit it out loud. But I was honestly just seeing my soul kind of sucked out the life out of me in this job. So I would also randomly break down into these weird crying bursts, asking my boyfriend and a few of my close girlfriends, like, what's wrong with me? I have this job and this everything I just mentioned, like in most people's eyes, it would look like I really had it all. But at the same time, I'm kind of looking at this team page, looking at all of these posts that these coaches are making. So I just made a decision. I was like, I'm doing this. I don't care what people think of me anymore. If they think it's weird, I don't care, because I'm not fulfilled in my life, and I've only got one shot here, and I just wasn't going to be the girl that was complaining and not doing anything about my situation. So in January 2014, I waited about 4 months from when I signed up as a discount coach. I actually ran my first challenge group then, so it's been just shy of 3 years. And it's just really been a crazy ride since then, Jeff.
Well, I think when you started talking about, I just saw this person, I thought she looked nice, and so I signed up because I thought she'd get the commission. I thought you were going to say, so I am the perfect customer for that kind of person.
The end. End of call.
Yeah, which would be. But again, I think, when the thing that I always love hearing from coaches that have had some great success in this business, inevitably, people will always ask me, what's the difference between the successful, the unsuccessful, and there's a lot of things. But inevitably, it always starts with a decision to do something. In spite of where they are in their life, whether they don't like what they're doing, they're breaking down into tears, like you said, or whatever, it's putting aside what people might think, the naysayers, the dream smashers, all that kind of stuff. But it's that decision that tends to be the launching point and the piece that clears away so many obstacles. And I hope as these coaches on this call are listening, they're asking themselves, have I made a decision? So as you look at, when you said they started to be a little crazy once you started your challenge groups, oftentimes we'll say, is there a process or a tipping point or something where, was that the point where your business started to take off then? Or was there another tipping point that it really started to get traction?
Yeah, so at that stage in my business, like you said, the challenge groups, I just loved the challenge groups. And I was asking people that I thought would love them too just to join me. It sounds really simple, but it actually is that simple. Like you said, it's kind of a decision mindset, but I didn't really think of this as a real business at first. So I think because I wasn't so focused on particular business goals and I was instead just focused on paying it forward, that resulted in me doing those things that, had me hit Success Club, which, as you know, is a vital behavior. I was unintentionally building this rock solid business foundation because I was just so excited, and I was building these really strong relationships with other girls who I thought would love these challenge groups too. And I just had a lot of confidence in it because I knew that I had a secret sauce, I guess. Just like I made it fitness fun by connecting these girls that vibed with each other and really got along into these private Facebook groups. So I just wanted to share it. And because, like I mentioned before, I was really searching for that fulfillment that a lot of these coaches had. And because that was my main driver, and I felt that right away when I started coaching, I wasn't really worried about the rest of the logistics. I wasn't really worried about rank or income. I just figured that would come with time. But I thought to myself constantly, and this is something that I did really well from the beginning, is I kind of got out of my own way and stopped overcomplicating this and thought, I need to just keep this simple. I love the challenge groups. I love Shakeology. I love people. So, of course, other people are going to like this too. I just have to ask them. I just have to make the decision to ask them. But when it really kicks off, if you're looking for more of a pinpoint, this is when it took off, it really wasn't until Summit 2014. I was a baby diamond coach. I'd been in the business for 6 months, and I watched other people there, and I was like, wait a second. People actually quit their full-time corporate jobs, which I was in at the time, to coach. They actually do this full-time for real. I was like, okay, that's awesome. If they can do this, there's literally no reason I can't. So that's when I realized if I wanted to build this business in a big way, like I saw a lot of other coaches doing, I had to make it more duplicatable for others that joined me as coaches. So that was the real kicker. And as soon as I started to learn how to teach people on my team to do what I was already doing in a really simple way, I knew that it would take off from there. So that's what I'm just really pumped to be on this call and share a little bit more about kind of how I did that today.
Well, I think that's a fantastic setup. And again, I think the aha moment there is, one, is keeping it simple, and two, duplicable or duplicatable, however you want to say that. And I think that's when most people, start to take off, is when they can teach other people how to do it. But to do that, they have to keep it simple. So you've teased us with this idea of how to attract the perfect customer, and you talked about asking questions. So I'm going to toss it over to you to teach
I signed up right away, right? I signed up with my coach because I just thought she looked like a nice person. So it's funny because a little bit of background, I thought that my perfect customer would be the girl who would see my challenge group announcement and immediately message me and want to buy right that second with no hesitation. Maybe because that's what I did to my coach, but I was really, really wrong about that being my perfect customer. I learned that perfect in that way wasn't actually the person that I wanted to attract. So before you're like, what is she going to talk about? Let me just kind of dig in a little bit more. I think the point I'm trying to make is that sometimes we forget that most people have questions or objections of some sort in the beginning. But if we just write these people off because they have concerns, we're missing out on a really big opportunity to connect with them deeper. And if you think about it, objections are totally normal. I mean, I said no to my coach when she first asked me about a challenge group, and I said no way to coaching. And I think most of us listening to this call, regardless of your tenure in the business, probably objected at first too. So why would I expect that my perfect customers are going to be those people that jumped right in, just like I did? I mean, once I realized that really simple concept, I just made a little tweak in my business, and I made that decision, as you mentioned, Jess, like instead of being nervous when I got an objection, I was instead going to choose to be excited because I knew that gave me a really easy way to show that person I was talking with that I'm the type of person who really does care about the relationship. And I was going to dig deeper with that person, whether they signed up right away with me or not. I wasn't just going to immediately dismiss them and move on to the next. So now that I've been here in this business for about 3 years now, I realize that my perfect customer is not that girl that jumps in instantly, but it's the person that I can connect with and build a deeper relationship with, even if they come with a few objections right off the bat. So if you want me to just kind of jump right in, I have three main things I wanted to cover.
Jump in. You're on a roll.
All right. So the three things I'm going to cover is how to identify more about yourself so that you know what to look for in a customer, how learning more about your customer can make you a better coach, and how to connect with your perfect customer. And as I mentioned, before you think, this is so much information, I'm going to keep it really simple because I think that's so important in this business. So the first part, identifying more about yourself. I learned very quickly that your business will only grow at the rate at which you grow, which is why you hear pretty much everyone who's ever been on the National Wake Up Call talking about personal development and how it's such a vital behavior. You really cannot attract your perfect customer if you don't know yourself well enough to be authentic. So if you make a constant focus on becoming a better you and getting to know yourself every single day, you're going to be able to attract your perfect customers just by being yourself. So that's really simple, right? I mean, I ask myself often, still to this day, 3 years in the business, am I sharing my own unique story? And what really helped me kind of figure out what my story was and how to be really authentic is I started thinking about how different I was from other coaches in the network. What separates me from the pack, of 450,000 now coaches in the network. So I sat down and I made a bullet point list about myself. So for example, when I first started coaching, at the time I was 24 years old, unmarried. I was a corporate hustler climbing the corporate ladder. I definitely had awesome results, but I didn't have a huge dramatic weight loss story. I didn't have a tremendous financial or life hardship that I was dealing with at that time. And I had heard a lot of other coaches with stories like that. So prior to attending Summit, where I explained that I kind of thought other people, could do this as their full-time job, I was a little uncertain on how real this opportunity could actually be for someone like me who didn't feel like she had her back against the wall, with a tremendous hardship that I was dealing with at the time. But I learned that really I just needed to spend more time doing personal development, working on myself. Because the truth is, whoever you are now and who you are becoming is your unique story to share. And when you own that story, your own unique hardships, and just put your blinders on to what everyone else is doing, this business gets so much easier, and we can keep it really simple. So whatever makes you you, your interests, your likes, your dislikes, how you process any trials that come your way, that is what is going to connect you authentically to others and with that perfect customer that we're talking about. That perfect customer is just out there waiting for you to connect with them. So I guess the main point is just to really be able to identify more about yourself and get crystal clear on who you are before you can even attract that person into your business.
Kacia, I'm just going to stop you. I think, again, people are always, I talk to a lot of coaches, and we always talk about telling their story and what their uniquenesses are. But there is something you can do to identify what those are, because if you just think about it, oftentimes it doesn't get clear. I think once you do put pen to paper or, get on your computer, on your pad, whatever, and start to write those pieces down, you'd begin to get clarity around it. And so there is a discipline. And I think once you do that, the juices start to flow and you start to identify who you are. And then you can also use that as a tool to bounce off some people that you trust to also say, who are you? Who are you uniquely? Because sometimes we're a little blind to ourselves, and in asking people we trust to share who we are, they may point out some pieces that corroborate, reaffirm who you are, and even give you a little insight to maybe who you are that you may not see who you are, that can be very, very attractive to others. So the pen to paper piece, simple but powerful.
So true, so true. So to kind of take that into the next section, I think, we talked about learning more about yourself. But as I mentioned before, my perfect customer is often someone that has those initial objections and tends to be a little bit skeptical of Beachbody at first. So I think it's really important to learn more about your customer to make yourself a better coach. So just knowing that in itself, being okay with the objections and the skepticism makes a lot more sense and makes it a little bit simpler. But I really do want to just reiterate, even when people don't give me an objection, I still want to dig deeper into their unique story so that I can be a better coach to them and be a better friend and have a stronger relationship. So a lot of times, I know when I was a new coach, I thought about this all the time. And I did what I like to call work on it, where I used to just tell them all of this information about why I thought that they would like it, like a challenge group if they were interested. But now, when someone says to me, hey, Kacia, I want to join your next group. How do I sign up? Say I posted a challenge group announcement on Facebook or something. It would be really easy to just get excited because they're pumped, right? They want to join my group. I could send them a link to order. But because we're so often focused on instant gratification, that seems like it makes sense. Like we want the Success Club point or we want the sale. But if I really want to connect with a person and build that strong relationship, I have to dig deeper, even if they just send me a question like that about wanting to sign up. So, for example, just to kind of give you verbiage, because I think that helps often, an example response of something that I would say if someone just reached out to me wanting to join a group is, hey, I'm so excited that you're interested in joining us in this group. I'd love to know a little bit more backstory on you. So can you tell me what's working for you right now from a health and fitness perspective? And also maybe what's not working as well as you would like it to. So that is such a simple question, but it helps you understand that it helps you understand that there's a problem and the problem that they're facing, but more importantly, it helps them identify that there is in fact a problem. If they can self-identify that there's a problem or something that they're running into in the health and fitness world, for them, it's so much easier for them to see the value in what you have to offer to help them fix that problem. And it also shows that you're a human and you care. And I know especially new coaches, you're often concerned of being salesy, but this takes that out because you get to be a consultant almost to them. You're a human, you care about them, you're building a relationship, you're not a salesperson. So from there, say this person tells me, oh, I love working out, but I hate sitting in traffic going to the gym. Or I always seem to make time for my workouts, but I'm kind of confused on the whole nutrition component. I can educate them on a program that will be a solution to their unique problem. And it shows them I'm not a salesperson, I care. And if you're able to dig deeper into what your perfect customer's life looks like, and more importantly, feels like now, and why they want to change, they're going to feel a deeper connection to you because you've gone above and beyond to help them. And as Sandy and Jackie were both saying on the call earlier, I mean, what's so awesome is with last week's announcement that tomorrow on the 27th, we now have an opportunity to provide this all-access on-demand challenge pack. I'm super pumped about it because this makes it so much easier for us, you guys. Like, it gives customers access to all of the workouts that Beachbody has ever made. So for us to build that relationship and find a program that fits their needs and supports them, we can do that throughout the entire year. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, what strikes me in what you're saying here is that when we come into contact with people, and as we're putting ourselves out there, certainly we have some goals that we have in mind for ourselves. But the person, where their antenna are is they're looking for a couple of things. They're looking to see first what your intent is, what you're all about. Are you just trying to get a sell, or are you really trying to help them? And so to the extent that, our lines of inquiry, that, our questions really dig to find out what their issues are from their perspective, how they define them, as you said. That is so key. We want to see how they see their issues, and then we want to try to understand what's their criteria, for making a decision, and what success looks like from their perspective. Because once you do that, they know that our intent is in the right place, and the probability of them wanting to work with us or allow us to help them is exponentially greater, because they know your intent's right, and two, they've also, like you said, defined what the issue is and what success looks like.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. So kind of to tie this all up, so I talked about the importance of kind of learning about yourself and then learning a little bit more about your customer. And like Jeff, as you just said, digging a little bit deeper. So I wanted to tie it up and speak with you about how to kind of connect it together as you're starting to build your business or as you're continuing to build your business. So the first thing that I think is really, really important when we talk about the business is that we talk about it in a way that our perfect customer will understand. So, for example, you're posting an announcement and you're asking your audience, like on social media or whatever it may be, to join you as a coach on your team, you're implying that they can build the business too, right? We want people to know that they can do this, just like we do. But you've got to show them the how. And I think sometimes we miss that. I know I missed that for the first few months when I was coaching. So what does your work time actually look like as a coach? So do you use your morning commute as your office to do your coach calls? Show that. Are you a mom who has kids jumping all over her when she's making training videos? Show that. Don't just post those stock ads. They're really great, but it doesn't show who you are. A picture of Shakeology on your counter doesn't show as much like why that's important to you. People are going to connect with you being real and being authentic. And don't be afraid to do that straight out the gates, even if you're a brand new coach. Another tip that really works for me too that I wanted to talk to you guys about is removing the insider jargon from your posts. Choosing to instead educate our audience using our unique voices. What I mean by that is spell it out for people. So Beachbody spends tons of marketing dollars. I'm sure Jeff can give me numbers on that, but creating all this brand awareness, which is awesome. But we as coaches can't assume that our audience knows the products like we do. So for example, instead of saying Quarterforce, tell your audience it's an MMA-style kickboxing program that you thought was going to be a good stress reliever. Maybe you feel like you're going to pull your hair out of your head because a project at work is really crazy for you right now, or whatever it is. Your voice and your language are going to connect you to your perfect customer. They're going to attract that customer because they get you. They understand you, even down to the jargon that you use, because you're choosing to educate them in your post. And I think the biggest thing that we talked about, at the beginning is I thought my perfect customer was going to be this person that jumped in right away. But I didn't jump in right away, and most people don't jump in right away. So that's actually not my perfect customer. So instead, I decided to not be afraid about talking about my hesitations in a way that my perfect customer would identify with. So what was I worried about before I became a coach, and how that fear started to diminish? Those are things that I talk about still now on a regular basis, even 3 years into the business. What were you worried about before you became a challenger? And then what did you actually find when you joined that first challenge group? I think sometimes we're afraid to talk about those objections or those hesitations because we think that it will make people not want to join us. But that's painting the real picture. And honestly, coaching isn't always easy, but that's what makes it so great, and that's what makes it so fulfilling. And as I discussed, people don't sign up as a coach or a challenge group right away. So don't be afraid to share why you were hesitant, because it's going to connect them with you more authentically. Your perfect customers and coaches are often going to be the person that you were when you first started coaching. There's going to be something about you sharing your story unapologetically and authentically that's going to connect you with them. They're going to be inspired by you. And it's going to give them an idea of the path that they'll be following when they connect with you and jump on board with you from a challenger perspective or from a coach perspective. So I just really think that's important to kind of tie it all up together.
Well, and I think, Kacia, I'm assuming I'm making an assumption you're familiar with what we're now calling the vital process.
Yes.
Really, attracting and connecting. And I'm a little hesitant because when you just said, sometimes we assume that everybody knows what we're talking about. We throw our jargon in there, and there may be many coaches on this call that aren't familiar with what we're dubbing the vital process. But really, what Kacia just described is the vital process, which is attracting and connecting with potential coaches, customers in the right environment where you get to really know who they are and give them a rich experience that I think is a very honest and accurate depiction. Sometimes we try and give them too much information. Sometimes we try and hide, the hard part of, the hard parts of this. And that doesn't need to be, but it is that if you're not typically authentic or accurate or truthful, then there's disappointment or there's disillusion because people are saying, well, man, reality is not matching description or, what they told us. And so your credibility then goes down, is diluted, and the probability of that perfect customer being delighted and transforming into what what they want to become, whether it's a coach or whether it's just a long-term customer, it again goes down unless you really match expectations. So the perfect customer to me is one where their expectations are being met and you're helping them realize those in a real way. And the throughput of that is, like I just said, a loyal customer or someone who evolves into a productive coach because they've been brought into the business the right way. That's the perfect customer.
Absolutely. You nailed it.
Okay. Well, I'm just repeating exactly. I'm repeating what you said, not nearly as well as what you said. Well, listen, Kacia, we are out of time, but before we wrap up here, one, I want to give you an opportunity if you feel like, hey, I missed this and I wanted to address this, and then maybe just wrap it up with, hey, you know what? 3 years later into Beachbody, I started out here. Here's a little of the progress I've made in my life and what it's meant to me.
Absolutely. So I think the biggest takeaway that I want people to have is just to get more comfortable being yourself, staying true to yourself, and just building this business in an authentic way that you're happy and excited about, because the right people are going to come into your business and honestly into your life for that matter and stay when you stay true to yourself. And that credibility is everything in this business. But to kind of talk about, just close this out, like you said, of how my life is different. I mean, first of all, those crying breakdowns where I was asking my boyfriend and so many of my close girlfriends what was wrong with me, those don't really happen anymore, so that's pretty nice. But in all seriousness, like, my life is completely different. Everything has changed. I really can't think of one area that Beachbody hasn't touched. But I mean, going from feeling completely stressed out and unfulfilled in a job that was like sucking the life out of me, but I thought I should be doing, to instead asking myself, what do I actually want in my life? And now I'm having frequent conversations with my boyfriend, Tina, about what kind of life we want to build. How can we impact more people? How can we spend our time being present with people that we love, doing things that we care about? I mean, completely, this entire trajectory of my relationship, and in turn, like, the environment that our future kids will grow up in is completely different because of this. Like, it's a game changer. And, my boyfriend and I live in downtown New York City, but we're healthier than ever. We're financially stable. And I'm pretty freaking pumped that we're on track to be able to be completely debt-free, paying off his entire 4-year NYU Dental School grad program before he graduates in May 2018. So, I mean, I thought we would be paying off those loans for at least the next, 10, 15 years. So, as a whole, I just feel really fulfilled. That fulfillment that I was looking for, I found. And I couldn't be more grateful for doing something that I love and feeling like every single day what I'm doing really makes an impact. So, thank you for the opportunity to share and for creating this opportunity in the first place, because I'm just so grateful.
Well, I think that's a great summation, and the biggest value people get out of this, yes, as you said, there are the benefits that are generated through helping people financially, and I would be remiss, as I always need to do, and we should do income disclaimers, that people's results vary based on skill sets and input into this business. And we have a little bit of fun with this income disclaimer piece. I don't know if the right word is fun, but it's important that we include that. But the important message behind that is that we share it because people have been successful, but their success is there's typically a direct correlation between the effort and the skill set and the time and the patience and the expertise that they develop as they put into this business. And the reason we have these calls and the reasons we have people like Kacia who have worked hard and have been thoughtful and have been introspective and have developed themselves, on this call is to show people what it takes and what can be, if they match that kind of effort in their business. And when all is said and done, the most important piece is, I believe, that confidence, that inner transformation of what you can do, who you can become, how that spreads, like you said, to relationships, to family and to others, and you get to do that by helping others. And so, Kacia, thank you so much for jumping on the call today and for being willing to let that cycler guy kind of push it back a week. He's still on the list, believe me. We're not finished talking to him about that. But thank you so much, and continue to have an absolutely great holiday.
Thank you so much. You too.